What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, we got to talk about what in God's name is happening with John Bubniak. So this is something, obviously, with the face change and all that stuff. Look, I know, the last video I did, we talked a little bit about that. It was obviously focused on something else. Same thing here. I mean, everybody's obviously going to have their opinions on the face change. I know some people, especially in the comments of that video, said they're flat out tired with it. That's not the point of this video, so I just want to make that kind of clear to people, going forward. Now, this comes from Twitter yet again. I do want to thank anybody because a couple people sent me this, so I do want to thank them. This also Gavin, the same guy that we talked about in that last video that did the whole searching of what in God's name is actually happening. He did this as well, so I want to thank him. I want to again thank anybody that sent it to me, and also if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, if you guys haven't already, Podcast Now 15 is my Twitter handle. The link for it will be in the description below. It'd be awesome to have you guys following me over there as well. So, we had the adventures of last week in which there was a lot of confusion. It seemed like Insomniac is trying to literally retcon and erase the past, right, of that John Bubniak didn't really do anything. At this point, he didn't do anything. He just supplied his face, his his likeness for the role, okay? And again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch that past video that I did, I think on Friday or Thursday. I did a video on it. Now, right after that, I saw this, and I was like, oh, well, now it's the weekend. I have to kind of wait. We have some people talking to him on Twitter, and let's go over what they said. So this guy, Josh, says, your version of the character made me connect with him in a way that no other version has. This didn't have to happen. 2020 sucks. Got a lot of likes. And then John replies and says, thanks a lot, man. Good things are coming. And then somebody else, responded to him and said, like, John, what does that mean? Please tell us something. And he did like he can't say finger, which is like, okay. Then somebody, I believe on Instagram, wrote to him and said, should we expect you to return to the role of Peter someday? And he said, MCU maybe. And it was the real him. Look, okay. I want to believe that. I really have no clue what in God's name is happening here. Now, I know a lot of people could be saying, like, go in like the Spider-Verse route, like maybe that would be a way of doing it. Are we talking about him like face what? Because that's another thing. It's only his face. In fact, that like I was gonna go even further than that. Literally, you can't use the voice. You could use Yuri's voice, right? But it would you would use John's face instead of Ben George. So like I really, after last week, I really would think that all bridges were burned because you really. I don't know what John was thinking with all of the whole back and forth with Insomniac and saying, basically that he's a liar with what he's talking about, right? I don't know what, role that has to play with it. And honestly, if what he's talking about, the MCU is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? So he's talking about the movies. He's not necessarily talking about any future game, which sucks for those that, including myself, right, that would like to see maybe his face return, right? There's really no retconning that. There's no going back to him at this point. So if you were to go for the movies, well, again, they would choose to use his face over the new official face of Spider-Man, and then by doing that, wouldn't you be saying that like there's two different universes of Spider-Man in the game? Like there's his version and then the newer version, but they're part of the exact same timeline. There is no switch to it. You know what I mean? So here's what I think. I think that anything's possible. I think with Wanda literally going to mess up the entire, everything in WandaVision, right? It opens the door for everything. It opens the door for Doctor Strange to come in and fix it. It opens the door for, the Spider-Man movie to have an Into the Spider-Verse thing happen, right? There's a lot that can happen. Could it connect the video games? Yeah. In fact, I feel like, that would be absolutely incredible. It would be weird and weird as in like we've never really, like, imagine the magnitude of that. You know what I mean? The games do well. Obviously, right? Spider-Man sold from what numbers are telling us, right? 20+ million. That's a lot. That's one of the highest PlayStation exclusives, not just in the PS4, but in general, okay? That's a big deal. Miles, I'm sure, has done well. Spider-Man 2, I'm sure will do well, okay? So you have a lot of people that, probably do also watch the movies that are also playing the game. It's just we've never had, like, imagine, in the MCU, the biggest, really, it could go downhill from here, really, after Endgame. In fact, I think in some respects it will. But for the most part, it's still like at the top of its game. It is like what's more popular than the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? For them to literally introduce or to recognize that the game exists, right, would be absolutely insane. That it exists, basically, that's an alternate timeline, because then you can do whatever you want with the games as well. In fact, even if you wanted to, which I don't suggest, you could even throw Marvel's Avengers, the Square Enix Marvel's Avengers. That game could be included too, right? Really, any of the games that they're planning on making in the future could all be included in this alternate universe. So again, I mean, the magnitude of that is enormous. But again, so you could do that. In fact, I think that's definitely a possibility. But if you do it and you have his voice, then it's going to be Yuri. And now, here's what John could maybe be hinting at. Maybe it's just the Spider-Man, like in his suit, Spider-Man, not necessarily Peter Parker. Although the guy said, like, could you return as Peter? And he said the MCU, maybe. So, like, are they going to have a scene where it's just all of the different Peter Parkers? So, like, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, they're going to have him. But again, you would have to have the new face of Peter Parker, too, because that's the official face. And why would you choose, basically is what I'm saying. Why would you choose John Bubniak to do it? Why? And, now, I would choose it. A lot of people would choose it. But it actually, right now, it doesn't make any sense to, because you're going forward with a different face. Unless they're going to cancel Spider-Man 2 or stop what they're doing with Spider-Man 2 and put him in because of the backlash, which I see them as too stubborn to do that. And like I've always said, I see pretty much something else going on in the background, whether it's Sony's, like their final say, whether it's Insomniac's, something. I think there's something else behind the curtain kind of dictating it. We're not getting that change back. I really don't think so. So if you include both of them in, say, a movie, fine, cool little Easter egg, cool little nod to John and his face, but then don't you, like, completely mess up the games? Because, again, aren't you saying that now there's two different universes, one where his version is going and doing stuff, and one where the new Peter Parker is doing, you know what I mean? Isn't that, and I mean, it's a question, but in my opinion, that is what you'd be doing. You'd actually be making the games not like super confusing or convoluted, but definitely, like, to some extent, you would make it pretty convoluted just for the sake of giving him a nod. And again, like, it's just odd. It's just really, really odd. Obviously, I think the bridges are burned with Insomniac, but again, with the movies, this is different. The movies are much different than Insomniac. They're over their heads. So if they want to include him, I mean, go for it. It doesn't exactly make any sense to do it, and that's where I kind of stand on it, is that everybody's attacking each other. There's all this confusion. There's still people that don't believe the original, story that Insomniac told, and now you have really like a third entry now in this chapter book, right, of like, oh my dear God, a return, but not, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like a fan favorite returning, but they're not returning in the way that you think. It's kind of like that. Like, he could return, although he keeps saying, like, maybe, and good things are coming and stuff. Now, like that, the Instagram stuff is like, anybody could say that. I could say that. He could say that. He could just be trying to wish it into existence, okay? But the Twitter stuff, when he says, like, he can't speak on stuff, or good things are coming, all that kind of stuff, it's like, all right, well, maybe he's in negotiations with Marvel right now, and that's why, he's under an NDA or something. You know what I mean? The Twitter stuff seems to me like he's part of something, like he knows something that he, verbally can't say, okay? Whereas the Instagram stuff is kind of like, well, he could say, hey, I want to be the next Batman, right? Or like, one day I'd like to be Batman, and people will be like, oh my God, maybe he knows something. You know what I mean? Like, it's random. So we have to take everything, obviously, with a grain of salt. He could just be pulling our leg. He could, honestly, and I don't think he's doing this, and this may make people mad, right? Maybe that, like, they'll think I'm attacking him. I'm not, okay? I would love to, like, I've always talked about doing interviews. I'd love to talk to the guy. I really, really would. And maybe, if you guys like this, let me know. Let me know if you guys want to see stuff like that. I do want to do interviews heading into 2021. I want to try and talk to different people that I do have some ideas for, so we'll see how that goes. Again, I'm not attacking him at all, but it could be that he's just trying to capitalize on this stuff, right? Even though he's not in Miles, and even though he's not in Spider-Man 2, I don't think his name has maybe ever been so popular. So, people like him as much. I mean, I think people liked him in Spider-Man, but like now that there's been some like adversity to his life and stuff, I feel like there's more of a emotional connection to him with fans. Again, I'm not saying he is. I'm not. But like, You know what I mean? Like, it could be where it's like, hey, I've never been more popular. My name's never been out there. Let's get this thing rolling. Not like for sympathy points, but like, hey, let's see if he could even be willing this thing into existence. Like, hey, Marvel, look at how much people like me and don't like the new face. If you're doing a Spider-Verse thing, you could throw me in. You know what I mean? Like, it could be like, hey, here's a hint. Here's all my evidence of all my fans. You know what I mean? That could be. That doesn't have to be any part of it. It could be just a small part of it. It could be all of it, right? Just kind of some speculation for you guys there. So again, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think he's going to return one day as Peter Parker? What the heck do you think is going on just in general? It's been quite a saga. It's not a saga I thought I'd even talk about. It's not a saga I thought would ever happen, but here we are, right? Here we are a couple chapters in, and I can't wait until like the conclude. Like, we're in the climax. I can't wait to see like that big payoff at the end. Very, very exciting. So let me know what you guys think. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel, bell icon turned on. Again, if you're not following me on Twitter, Podcast Now 15 is my Twitter name. If you guys again want to follow me there, I have a lot of fun over on Twitter. Honestly, I know it's normally a toxic place, but I honestly believe, and you can ask pretty much anybody that follows me on Twitter, I think the community that I have on Twitter is absolutely, truly amazing. I really, really do. So follow me over there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.